Am I audible properly?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, so let's start. First of all, welcome all of you for attending the second Cloud Jam. So, as suggested in the previous Cloud Jam, I hope that all of you have at least started doing the labs and on the verge of completing the track 1. So, in today's session, we are going to start with the track 2 of the 30 days of Google Cloud program. So, I will be giving you an overview about what all topics you will go through while completing the labs in the track 2 part. So, like more details will be given to you while you solve the labs in the quick labs, but I will be giving you some overview or some extra additional points. Every company saves data in some way. You all know that. So 90% of the data saved by the companies is unstructured. With all of this data available, companies are now trying to gain some insights into their business based on this data. This is where big companies come in. Big data structure architectures allow companies to analyze their saved data to learn about their business. In this module, we will be basically focusing on the three managed services that Google offers for the processing of the data, Dataproc, Dataflow, and Dataprep. So, for companies that have already invested their money in Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark, they would like to continue using Google Cloud itself. Companies looking for a streaming data solution, however, may be interested in Dataflow as a managed service. Dataflow is optimized for large-scale batch processing or long-running stream processing of structured and unstructured data. The third managed service that Google Cloud provides is Dataprep. It is mostly a self-service data and it's a branding tool. And one more very important service that Google Cloud provides is BigQuery. It provides a data analytic solutions optimized for getting questions answered rapidly over a petabyte scale datasets. BigQuery allows for fast SQL on structured data. Now, looking in depth about Dataproc. So, Dataproc, as mentioned earlier, is Dataproc as Dataproc is managed by Spark and Hadoop service that lets you take advantage of open source data tools for batch processing, querying, streaming, and machine learning. Dataproc automation helps you create clusters, quickly manage them easily, and because clusters are typically run ephemerally, you can save money as they are turned off when you don't need them. Now we will see some features about Dataproc. So Dataproc is priced at 1 cent per virtual CPU per cluster per hour on top of any other Google Cloud resources you use. In addition, Dataproc clusters can include preemptible instances that have lower compute prices. You use and pay for things only when you need them. Secondly, Dataproc clusters are quick to start, scale, and shut down with each of these operations approximately 90 seconds or less on an average. Clusters can be created and scaled quickly with a variety of virtual machine types, disk sizes, number of nodes, and networking options. You can also use Spark and Hadoop tools, libraries, and documentations with Dataproc. Dataproc provides frequent updates to native versions of Spark, Hadoop, and Hive, so there's no need to learn new tools or APIs, and it's possible for you to move with your existing projects or ETL pipelines without the redevelopment procedure. You can easily interact with the clusters and Spark or Hadoop jobs without the assistance of an administrator or a special software through the Cloud Console and the Cloud SDK or the Dataproc REST API. When you're done with the cluster, you can simply turn it off so money isn't spent on an idle cluster. Image versioning allows you to switch between different versions of Apache Spark, Apache Hadoop, and other tools. The built-in integration with the cloud storage, BigQuery, and Cloud Bigtable ensures data will not be lost. This, together with a cloud logging and cloud monitoring system, provides us a complete data platform and not just a Spark or Hadoop cluster. For example, you can use Dataproc to effortlessly ETL terabytes of raw log data directly into the BigQuery for business reporting. The Dataproc approach allows users to use Hadoop, Spark, Hive, and Pig as we seen in the previous slides. It also takes very less time. This makes it very possible is the separation of the storage and compute, which is a real game changer. With the traditional approach typical of on-premises clusters, storage or hard drives are attached to each of the nodes in the cluster. If the cluster isn't available due to the maintenance, neither is the storage. Since the storage is attached to the same computing nodes as those that do the processing, there is often contention of the resources, for example, input or output bottlenecks. Datablock, on the other hand, relies on the storage resources being separated from the compute resources. Files are stored in the cloud storage, and the cloud storage connector means that using cloud storage instead of HDFS is as easy as changing the prefix in the scripts from one prefix to the other prefix, like for example, from changing HDFS to GS. Now coming towards the next point, that is data flow. So data flow is basically a data processing service based on Apache Beam that lets you develop and execute a range of data processing patterns, extract, transform and load, batch and streaming, etc. You can use data flow to build data pipelines, monitor their execution and transform and analyze data. Importantly, the same pipelines work for both batch and streaming data. You can study about pipelines into your various labs available. So Dataflow fully automates operational tasks like resource management and performance optimization. All the resources are provided on demand and scaled to meet requirements. Dataflow provides built-in support for fault-tolerant execution that is consistent and correct regardless of data size, cluster size, processing pattern, or pipeline complexity. Through its integration with the Cloud Console, Dataflow provides statistics such as pipeline throughput and lag, as well as consolidated worker log inspection, all in near real time. It also integrates with the cloud storage, PubSub topics, Datastore, Cloud Bigtable, and BigQuery for seamless data processing. It can also be extended to interact with other sources and sinks like Apache Kafka and HDFS. You can visit the official Apache Beam website for studying in-depth information about this. Now, Google provides various quick start templates for Dataflow to allow you to rapidly deploy a number of useful data pipelines without requiring any Apache Beam programming expertise. The templates also remove the need to develop the pipeline code and the need to consider the management of the component dependencies in the pipeline code. So we will understand what exactly a pipeline is. So a pipeline represents a complete process on one or more data sets. The data could be brought in from external data sources also. It could then take a series of transformation operations such as filtering, joining and aggregation of the data, etc. Applied to the data, this data could be then returned to a sink. The sink could be within a Google Cloud or an external storage facility. The sink could even be the same as the data source. The pipeline is a directed acyclic graph or DAG. PC collections are specialized containers of nearly unlimited size that represents a set of data in the pipeline. These datasets could be bounded, also referred to as fixed size, such as national census data, or unbounded, such as a Twitter feed or data from weather sensors. T collections are the input and output of every transform operations. Transforms are the data processing steps in the pipeline. Transforms take one or more P collections and perform an operation that you specify on each element in that collection. And they also produce one or more P collections as an output. Transform can also perform nearly any kind of processing operations, including performing mathematical computations on the data, converting data from one format to another, grouping the data together, reading and writing data, filtering data to output only the elements you want, or combining data elements into single values. Source and sync APIs provide functions to read data into and out of the collections. The sources act as the roots of the pipeline, and the sinks are the endpoints of the pipeline. Dataflow has a set of built-in sinks or sources, but it is also possible to write sources and sinks for custom data sources. So in this simple but real example, the data flow pipeline reads the data from a BigQuery table, and the source processes it in a various ways, and the transforms writes its output to the cloud storage in the sink. Some of the transforms in this example are map operations and some are the reduce operations. You can build really expressive pipelines using Google Cloud Platform. Each step in the pipeline is elastically scaled. There is no need to launch and manage a cluster. Instead, the service provides all the resources on demand. It has automated and optimized work partitioning built in, which can dynamically rebalance lagging work. That reduces the need to worry about the hotkeys, that is, situations where disproportionately large chunks of your input get mapped to same cluster. So we have seen what is Dataproc and what is Dataflow. So we will discuss what is the difference between the Dataproc and Dataflow. Like we have discussed, Dataproc and Dataflow are managed service solutions for the processing of big data. This flowchart basically summarizes what differentiates one from the other. Both Dataproc and Dataflow can perform MapReduce operations. The biggest difference between them is that Dataproc works similarly to how Hadoop would work in the physical infrastructure. You would still create a cluster of servers to perform the ETL jobs. In case of Dataflow, the process is serverless. You provide the Java or Python code and leverage the Apache Beam SDK to perform ETL operations on the batch and streaming data in a serverless fashion. So moving forward to the cloud data prep. So cloud data prep is an intelligent data service for visually exploring, cleaning and preparing structured and unstructured data for analysis. Cloud data prep is serverless and it works at any scale. There is no infrastructure to deploy or manage the cloud data prep. Easy data preparation with clicks and no code is possible with the help of cloud data prep. Now the BigQuery service that we are going to discuss, it is like great data warehouse available that Google Cloud provides us. So BigQuery service replaces the typical hardware setup for a traditional data warehouse. That is, it serves as a collective home for all analytical data in an organization. Datasets are a collection of tables that can be divided along business lines or a given analytical domain. Each dataset is tied to a Google Cloud project. A data lake might contain files in a cloud storage or Google Drive or transactional data in a cloud Bigtable. BigQuery can define a schema and issues queries directly on an external data as a federated data sources. Database tables and views function the same way in BigQuery as they do in a traditional data warehouse, allowing BigQuery to support queries written in a standard SQL dialect that is commonly used 2011 compliant. Cloud identity and access management is used to grant permissions to perform specific actions in BigQuery. This replaces the SQL grant and revoke statements that are used to manage access permissions in traditional SQL databases. Now, traditional data warehouses are hard to manage and operate. They were designed for batch paradigm of data analytics and for operational reporting needs. BigQuery is a modern data house that changes the conventional mode of data warehousing. Here we can see some of the key comparisons between a traditional data warehouse and a BigQuery. BigQuery provides mechanisms for automated data transfer and powers application team already know and use, so everyone has access to the data insights. You can create read-only shared data sources that both internal and external users can query and make a query results accessible for anyone through user-friendly tools such as Google Sheets, Qlik, or Google Data Studio. BigQuery lays the foundations for AI. Just a second. Okay, so we will cover this part very shortly. So, due to the Google's fully managed serverless infrastructure and globally available network, BigQuery eliminates the work associated with provisioning and maintaining a traditional data warehousing infrastructure. BigQuery also simplifies data operations through the use of identity and access management control, as seen earlier. Now we will see this BigQuery in one hands-on lab session. I will be starting one lab that uses BigQuery, so you will get an idea how this actually works. Yeah. So we will be today doing this. That is the very first basic lab about the BigQuery. So you will get an idea how to deal with the BigQuery and the SQL environment present in the BigQuery. So further, you can keep on studying the more topics that are mentioned in our tracks. So let's start with the lab. As suggested before, always use incognito mode while signing to the Google Cloud platform. Many of the people send me queries that by mistake I joined using my personal account. So there's nothing we can do if you do the labs from your personal account. So please be careful about that. Even the Quick Labs team have given some like introductory statements where you can check that which account you are using or which projects you are using. Do not skip those steps. Over there only you will get to know that you are using your personal account, so you can switch immediately before you start doing any of the labs task from your personal account. So we will first check which account we are using. Yeah, so we are using the account mentioned by Quick Labs only. And then we will see the project ID that has been provided to us by Quick Labs. Are we using the same project ID? Yep, we are using the same. Now let's start with the BigQuery. So first of all, let's open the BigQuery console. So firstly, we will be exploring the public datasets available. From that, we will be like seeing some part of the dataset or some part of the tables. So mostly SQL is used for working in the BigQuery. So most of the third year students have an idea about SQL, but for like second year students, you can like go through the like first 2 3 labs they have explained SQL very properly. So like in this query that they are stating that select weights underscore pound or state year and gestation weeks. Now weight underscore pounds, state year and gestation weeks are the name of the columns from the dataset, and from under the from we specify which dataset or which subsection of the dataset we are going to use. And in the order by query, we are going to arrange the elements in the table in our output according to the weight underscore pounds column value. And DSC means that we are going to arrange it in the descending order, and limit 10, that is we are going to only limit the output to 10 rows. So we will run this query. Here you will, before running the query only, you will get how much time it will need, or is the query perfect to run. So we will run the query first. So yeah, we have got the exact result that have been mentioned by them. So we have got our first 15 points also. Now here we have used the public datasets, and we have queried the public dataset using the select and from statement. Now we will be creating our own database. So they must have mentioned some name or what we have to provide to the dataset. So we will keep the same names to the dataset. Do not use your own names, otherwise your progress will not be tracked accordingly. So yes, we have now created our own dataset. Now we need to add something to our dataset, right? So we are going to use the zip file baby dash names, and we are going to run this command in our Cloud Shell. Now we will be needing to unzip this zipped file. We are done with it. Now we will create some bucket to store our data into it. So as you would have done the track one, you would have gotten very nice knowledge about what the Google Cloud Storage buckets are and how do you create them. Still, I will be showing you. So while creating a bucket, you need to give a globally unique name. So I suggest that you give the name of your GCP project ID itself, as it is globally unique to everyone. So we will be creating our bucket. Now we will transfer our data into the bucket. Over here, you have to replace your bucket name into the command. We are done with this step also now. Now we are going to load the data that we have stored into the bucket into the BigQuery console. So let's return to our BigQuery console now. Now in this baby names dataset, we are going to create a table. They have mentioned some parameters for creating the table. Yeah, so we are going to select it from Google Cloud Storage, and they have given us the path bucket name, and then this is our bucket name that we had used before, that is our project ID, and the file name. We are going to select the file as CSV, and then we are going to edit it as text. They have given us the information what to put in there. It is basically like what is your data type for what column name, and the table name also they have given. So we will be creating table with all the credentials provided by them. Please do not give name to the tables according to your own mind. It will not reflect into your points if you do that way. So once the table is created, you will see the table under baby underscore names dataset. Now we will preview the table. What are the contents visible into the table? So in the table, basically we have like row number, name of the person, their gender, and some count regarding any action they are performing. We are going to query this table, that is names underscore 2014 table. So similarly, here we'll compose a new query first of all. And similarly, here they have used a select from query. Here extra is that they have used where, that is they are putting a condition on the gender column where the gender is M, and we are limiting here only to the 5 columns, 5 rows, sorry. So yeah, we have got the output where the gender was only male. And yeah, we are done with this lab. So you must have got an idea how easy it is to process the data using a BigQuery. You can process a tons of data in some like 1 to 2 seconds of time. So now you can ask your questions regarding to the like any problems you are facing while doing the labs or any other things.
So guys, this session was basically organized to clear all your doubts. The concept which were explained by Kale were just basic, but any kind of doubts if you have, then please feel free to ask.
Am I audible?
Just like you're audible.
Yeah, okay. Section from Ayush.
Ayush, about which lab you are talking about? Can you like suggest me the name so that I will go through it and contact you back?
Ayush, you can drop the code of that particular lab in the chat box. And yes, Pratham, if you don't have any doubts, then it's officially over. And those who are having doubts, you can ask over here. Hargav, the recordings are already shared. You can check on our YouTube channel. Yeah, as Rohit has mentioned, it's GDSC
Ayush, you message me personally. Right now, I'm not memorizing the lab that you're speaking about. We will take this offline.